I'll put the phone in the pack. Certainly not gonna be making any calls out here. Oh, hey there. Sure, I'm surprised to see you. I haven't seen a soul in 20 miles of dirt roads, but I sure am glad it's you that's here. I sure enjoy our weekly get-togethers. If we haven't met yet, my name's Jared, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you. My wife and I moved to Alaska because we're looking for a more meaningful lifestyle. I recently had a good reminder about how much I'm enjoying the new lifestyle. Wonder what those are from. We made a trip back to the States for a wedding. It sure was enjoyable to attend the wedding and to see all my kids and friends. In a week, we drove about 1,500 miles, and mostly in heavy traffic, and that took a toll on me. I used to commute daily over 2 hours in that stuff. It made me a great living, but at the time I didn't realize how much it was sucking out of my soul. Going back to it for a week reminded me of just how much I'm loving my new Alaska lifestyle. We're back now, and there's plenty to do on the homestead. Bit of a wind now. Makes it a little bit more of a challenge, but I don't think I've got too much farther to go, so. And don't hurry. But before I get to that, there's just something I need to do. There's these two rivers. I've only seen them on a map. Getting close now. The spot I'm headed to has two pretty good sized rivers that dump out within a half mile or so of each other. For the last 7 years, I've been dreaming about exploring this place. So the land's dropping off pretty good, and that's kind of where the rivers come out. Going to the woods is how I've always coped with stress, and so a couple of nights by myself exploring these two rivers seems like just the thing I need. Caught a little bit of wind back in that wider spot there. I am a little worried about on the way back. It's supposed to be not big winds, but oh man, the tide is pulling me right here. I can totally feel it and see it. Look, yeah, see all that? Tide is totally pulling us. Hopefully we're going where we want to go. I better quit talking and start paddling. Oh yeah. If a stranger asked me what I was doing, I'd say I was looking for steelhead. But really, a fishing pole's just an excuse to explore. And that's what I'm out here doing. If I tie into a couple of nice steelhead, that'll be a good bonus. But that's not how success on this trip will be measured. One thing's changed from the exploring I've done over the last 6 months. The grass is out, so that means the bears are going to be coming out of hibernation. My island happens to have about as many black bears as anywhere in the U.S., so I'm bound to run into one sooner or later, and probably more than one. Every encounter's a little different. You never know how they're going to turn out. Since I'm by myself, I'm definitely going to have to use a lot of caution. If you have a group, you don't have too much problem with bears. But sometimes when you're by yourself, they get a little more curious than is good for them. Well, I've done enough rambling. Let's find a campsite and then go do some exploring. I mean, fishing. Talk about a serious trail. Dang. This is the place for camp. Makes me a little nervous because I got beach on one side and meadow on the other. And when bears wake up, they head for meadows and beaches. So that'll make life somewhat interesting. But I think over there's a huge, like a highway, and I don't really want to set my hammock up across the highway, so I think that's going to be the place. That was a high quality stinger. And yes, this is not the place I originally chose, but I think it'll work a little better. It's just right there. There we are. That's more. Oh yeah. Heck of a trail. And slick. Did I mention slick? Oh, and stuff's not strong either. So I think that was a poor choice. That was a poor choice. Not meant for 5.5 feet tall people. That's for sure. Regretting not bringing my waders, as I knew I would. Somebody's been working over there. Tree thinners have been in here, that's for sure. That makes a lot of sense now, I'm seeing. Definitely not any easier to walk here than it was back in the brush. Oop. Particularly when you're grabbing things that might be devil's club. Far enough for today. I don't have too much daylight left, so should go back, fish the one good hole I saw. Like, there's a lot of these places that could have fish in them, just a matter of finding them. Tomorrow I'll probably hike up a little farther. I prefer to fly fish, but I didn't have a lot of time today, so I just packed the spinning rod, and this would be a bugger to fish with a fly rod anyways. So we're just gonna cast in here and see if there's anything we can pull out. I only had like an hour to chase it down. I definitely didn't want to get us stuck up there in the dark. So we'll go get us some dinner, I guess. Getting a fire lit in this is nigh impossible, but we'll see what we can do, I guess. I don't know if I'll even be able to get a fire lit, but if I do, this will help keep it going. That looks kind of dry. It hasn't rained very much, so there's quite a bit of dry stuff around. I don't know how dry. Alright, actually got a fire going. I wasn't too sure that was actually going to happen. Because there's a river there, but with the tide, it's probably like a 400-yard walk to get water. So we're just gonna kind of get by with what we have today. Probably an apple and some almonds for dinner, I'm thinking. That'll be amazing. Hopefully I'll get dried out before time to go to bed. So after last night trying to crawl through all that crazy brush, I decided to not use the fly rod for this river. Like, I don't think I could get it through the brush without breaking it. Like, that was some pretty gnarly brush. So I'm just gonna fish up with the spinning rod for a while, see if I can do anything. Perfect steelhead waters I make, so if I don't get much here, I don't know that there's anything in right now. It's gorgeous. It's a well-worn trail here. Oh yeah. That's pretty cool. Oh, got a rainbow. Huh. Not a bad rainbow. I think that looks like dinner. That is the food of choice for that rainbow. Eggs. Rainbow or steelhead, I don't know, but definitely food of choice. What a minnow. And we'll just cook and see what happens. Ah, that's a worm. Hi, crispy skin. That's what we're talking about. Maybe slightly rare right around the backbone, but that's delicious. That river was a beast. Swift, strong, and almost impenetrable brush. If there'd been fish there, it would have been worth it. Time to go see what the other river holds. There. That is gorgeous. Beautiful place. Not many fish that I can tell, but beautiful place. Definitely beaver dam. Good sized one. Been building this guy for a while. have to walk a long way to get water because of the tides. So we're just gonna grab a gallon or two. Should cover me for the rest of my trip, I hope. Fill up. Go get a fire started. And very fine and papery, like. It lights any easier than it did last night. Last night I struggled, to be honest. I struggled quite a bit, but I got it eventually. Should do for now. This goes up there. Some Golden Select potatoes and cheese sticks. I'm gonna try with some sourdough bread in oyster shell, since I found some reasonably clean oyster shells. I don't have anything else come in except my pot. Yep, we're gonna do ash bread apparently. My oven definitely needs a little refinement, but I think it's actually working. A little cheesy mashed. You can see it's cheese. So I forgot to grease my pan before I stuck my bread in it, so I'm fully expecting that it'll stick. And my expectations are fully met. There we are. Not too shabby. Maybe a touch raw in the middle. I think edible. The canoe might have floated a little bit last night, but it's still there, so that's a good sign. Thing about leaving at low tide, I got a long haul to the water. That was a major job to get everything down to the water, including the canoe, but we got her done. I could have brought a skiff on this adventure. That would have turned my 2-hour canoe ride into a 20-minute jaunt. However, as I cruised the shoreline during low tide and looked at the amazing sea life, I was sure glad I didn't. As I headed home, my soul was at peace. Those were two very different rivers, one wild and untamed, the other scenic while easy to navigate. There's a room for both in this world. Getting toasty now. Can't lose my hat though. My wife will shoot me. I didn't find any fish in them, but you can bet I'll be back. But it won't be the thought of fish uncaught that brings me here. On the way home, I stopped at a roadside stream and found what I'd claimed to be looking for. It was satisfying, but not nearly as enjoyable as exploring those two rivers on my own. Finally. Steelhead, right there. Pretty sure, since I just walked through that hole, that he's not gonna go for it, but I'll at least give it a shot. Couldn't come much closer to hitting him on the nose than that. It's a nice fish there. Sun just came out. See him just a little better. That's what I've been after.